schizos and shit in this game. Why are you running? It's just me now. Play the game. It's funny as fuck when I can out schizo a schizo with this build. See how hard I just fucking hit that kid and he's been happy. I like deleted him.
When the fear and the gold keep you from breathing, under the weight of the world your hands start bleeding.
And what's going on, guys? It's Tyler Xlight here, and today I am bringing you a brand new New World video. Everybody's been waiting for this build with the Serenity, Greatsword, and the bow, and I'm here to bring it to you today. This is going to be a fast video. At least I hope it's going to be a fast video. I always say that, and they never are, but I just want to nail the main gear you want, the perks. But let's talk about gear. The gear on the side here, I'm not going to have you pay too much attention to because it's all basically stand-in gear at the moment. I'm going to talk to you about what I want and what I'm going to be getting, as well as our attuned leather pants here, because this is the only thing I got fully done right now. So attuned leather pants, that is what you want for this build at the moment, mainly because it gives you the more attribute points to spend and utilize. However, if you were to drop attuned leather pants, I would then run featherweight instead, and then reason being for featherweight is because you can gain the extra armor rating and such from featherweight. Main perks you want, first thing first, you always want the Greatsword perk, Relentless Freedom. As you see, I have it on my headpiece right here. Again, this is by no means a best piece or anything. It is a stand-in, as you will see on all my pieces though. They each have ice harnessing, and we'll get into that in a second, but Relentless Freedom is a must. It is your get out of jail free card with the Greatsword. You can literally phase out of all routes. You can phase through entire clumps of enemies. You can escape with it. It's just so good to utilize with the Greatsword, and it is your main escapability option with the Greatsword. So you must have this on. If you don't, you're going to die a lot. Now for the gems for each of my gear pieces, I have Frozen Elemental Wards. So it is plus 2% elemental damage absorption, and my ice tax deal plus 2% damage. I have that in all my pieces on my set. I'm using opals because magic fire staffs are still a big fucking problem in this game. Please do something about it, AGS. Please, it is a problem. Everybody is a fire staff player now. Now I said ice harnessing, we would talk about it in a second, and the reason why ice harnessing is on all my gear pieces is because it is so easy to obtain. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I talk about how it's so easy to obtain, let's just slide on over here in my inventory real quick. We have the Admiral's Petticoat. So there is an entire Admiral set that you can get at the Gypsum Kiln for free. That's right, you heard it here. For free. Well, not really for free. You have to get the dense mutated materia, but pretty much for free. Because the dense mutated materia you can get from your PvP season track here. They're in these boxes. Dense mutated materia, you just rack up all those and you can literally build out your whole set in seconds. Well, not really seconds because you have to grind out the tracks, but if you look up a guide on YouTube here, you can actually complete your season track in a couple hours. So I recommend looking that up if you need to complete this track. But that lets you get the Admiral's Petticoat. As you see, I'm kind of working on this gear right now. This piece has Elemental Virgin Ice Harnessing Thrust Conditioning on it. It's actually a really good piece. Thrust Conditioning was randomly rolled. However, I am actually going to be switching all of my pieces over to Shirking Heels. You can ask me, why the hell are you doing that? They nerfed Shirking Heels. Reason being is because with some testing and talking with others, Shirking Heels is still really good. And they're actually going to be buffing Shirking Heels from the 10-second cooldown to a 7-second cooldown. So basically, a pot, a infused health pot, just for an example, heals me at about 3.3k or something like that every 22 seconds. Whereas a full Shirking Heal set with Ankh amulet on heals me for about 5.6k every 7 seconds coming up in Season 4. So that's just kind of a example to show you what's the difference between a health pot versus full Shirking Heals set. I think Shirking Heals is a must for light melee, to be honest with you, and as you know, we're playing a more schizo playstyle with this build, so we're like a light melee, but with a bow to help secure kills and back up our other decks, etc. So Shirking Heals is a must because you are going to be close combat dodging a lot, fighting players. You need it. Now, I know I said ice harnessing on everything, but the only thing I don't have ice harnessing on is the Attune leather pants. Reason being is because Shirking Energy is a must. The other main perk you're going to want, which I'm going to be pushing for, which is again why I think the Admiral set's so good, is Elemental Aversion. It's just more 4.5% less damage from ranged elemental attacks. Again, it just helps against all of the mages. Fire staffs, again, it's a huge problem right now. Elemental Aversion with your elemental damage absorption gem just works beautifully together. And then you throw in, again, Shirking Heals. It just gives you lots of healing, and then Ice Harnessing just buffs your damage further. So that's enough about the armor. For the weapons, we are running Syncretic Bow. It's pretty easy. Comes with Keenly Jagged and Enchanted when it drops, and then you can reroll it to have any attunement you want. I went for Frost attunement. I still think Keenly Jagged's really good, even though they nerf bleeding a little bit. However, Keenly Jagged is just still BIS on the bow, in my opinion. Another option you can take is, if I'm not mistaken, if I have it in here, would be a good example. Yes, Oil Jar. This is the other one I was thinking of. Comes with Flame Attunement and Enchanted normally. Mine just happens to have Vorpal on it as my randomly rolled. However, you can get this rerolled to have Plague Crits. It's another alternative BIS bow right now. Is Attunement Enchanted Plague Crits. Plague Crits got a massive buff, so again, that's something to think about. You could actually apply a lot of disease to healers, as well as other players, keeping the healing off of them and down. This is actually really good for war. If you want to use Rain of Arrows and such to attack clumps and all that, it's really good to apply the healing debuff on. So the bow is pretty simple. Let's talk about Serenity and why this thing's insane. Reason being is because it's basically mortal empowerment built into your Greatsword. It's beautiful. It's got built-in Fortify. It has Trenchant Strike, so your heavy melee attacks deal 23% more damage. Trenchant Crits, heavy melee attacks deal 34% critical damage, which you can 100% crit proc with this. And then Refreshing Move, which just helps your cooldowns. And then you can slot your third perk, which, as you see, I don't have yet because, gold sinks. But I will be putting in a gem slot, obviously, so that I can get more damage through either an Opal, a Moonstone in Season 4, which is something a lot of people are talking about, swapping from Opals to his Moonstone. I don't have the stats in front of me to go over that with you guys, but I'm sure I'll be doing another build in Season 4 when it launches with all the updates and stuff to it to show you guys what I'll be running at that time. But for this season, once I get the gem slot in, I'll be running an Aquamarine, just to split it with Elemental again with all my Ice Harnessing and Ice Rune Glass and everything, with the Serenity doing ice damage as well. It'll just work out nicely. For jewelry, right now I'm running Passage of Time. That is my Stamina Recovery, Refreshing Health. Stamina Recovery is a must on the amulet, must always have it. If you're running Ankh, please, for the love of everything, when you roll Ankh for your upgrade perk, put Stamina Recovery on it. It's a must. If you're doing that, if you're not doing it, you're trolling. For the ring, I have a stand-in ring with ice damage, so a hardy and ice damage, purifying heart on it if I run cannon blast, which I do sometimes, or bio bomb or something like that. Purifying heart on heart rune basically does what my stone form does and removes all my debuffs. If I'm running it on here, it's pretty much just a 2-perker ring right now. I'm working on other rings to get them upgraded to take its place, but I'll probably be running hardy ice damage, and I'm trying to think of the third perk right now. I think Invigorated Punishment or something like that's what I'll be aiming for. For the earring, Refreshing Toast, Nimble, Purifying Toast. Purifying Toast is what I run for OPRs and arenas and such. Drinking a regen pod just takes away a debuff from me. It's nice. It's easy little slot. However, in wars you have cleanse pots, so it's kind of not needed. So you can run something else. You could run Life Loop, for example. Healthy Toast, Refreshing Toast. Actually kind of a best in slot. I'd run that. Works nice. Only thing is, doesn't have Nimble. I'm a Nimble fan. I feel like you can notice Nimble a lot when you don't have the 10% stamina regen rate. When I use Nimble versus when I don't, I complain and I feel like I need my Nimble. I'm missing it. I'm getting killed because I don't have it. So it's nice to have. Attributes are a little funky. Magnify's broken right now, so if I have the Admiral set on, I actually have a very hard time doing this split, and I get stuck with like 150 con, like over 350 dex, and then 100 strength, but the 150 con really does hurt. You can run 150 con with this build, but you will die quick, and you'll notice a massive difference between 150 and 200. Trust me, as light melee players, they can tell you there is a difference. For wars, you definitely want to run 200. For OPRs arenas, you can swap between the both, figure out which one you like more. I like 200 because I like to stay in a fight longer than most people in light. Whereas 150, you have to get in and get out, get in and get out, or you're dead. So, first thing first, what we want to reach, obviously, is we want to get to a point where we have enough attributes where we can reach the 350 dex mark here with 100 strength, 200 con. If I'm not mistaken, once I'm full gear scored with my full attributes, I believe I can reach the 350 dex. I might be wrong. I feel like I'm not, though. But reason being is we just gain the 15% crit chance while empowered. That's mainly for my bow. Mind you, it doesn't really help my greatsword as much unless I'm just heavy swinging at people. Then, I mean, that does help because my greatsword will gain that crit chance without me using any of my abilities, getting my 100% proc. Weapon Stopping will cleanse all stuns and root crowd control status effects on a 30-second cooldown. This is probably the best perk on the dex tree. It is a full get out of jail free card. 100 strength, you might be wondering why 100 strength. I'm running 100 strength, and my 100 strength actually does help my bow. People might think it doesn't, but it does, and we're going to talk to you about why it helps my bow. But first, the reason why we're running 100 is mainly because it makes me do the damage of a Schizo Greatsword player, but with a lot more health. So, at the 25 mark, we have 5% light attack damage. Yes, that 5% light attack damage helps my bow autos. So it gives me a 5% light attack damage increase on my bow. At the 50 point mark, we have the plus 10% heavy attack damage. Again, that's plus 10% heavy attack damage to my bow heavies. That is a massive damage buff on my bow for heavy attacks because you're heavying all the time on your bow. If you're not, you're throwing. So that's a massive damage buff. And then last but not least, at the 100 point mark, we have 10% physical damage. Guess what? Once again, bows are physical damage. So the physical damage portion of my bow actually gets another 10% buff. So just from a heavy attack to the 10% physical attack damage, my bow is already doing the damage of a boltcaster bow right now. But that's it for attributes. Let's talk about weaponry here. So for the greatsword, this is my cookie cutter tree. This is the tree I use for basically all my videos if you've ever seen any of my greatsword vids. This is my main tree for war, OPR, and arenas. Over to the bow. This is our main cookie cutter bow build. You can swap this around a little bit. But this is pretty much on the screen what you want to copy and use. Main reason we use that ability combo with the Greatsword, and I'll kind of show you on the dummies here, is when you're running and you're at close range fighting with the Greatsword, you know, you can back up, hip fire with a bow, hit that X bow, come back in with a Greatsword, you know, heavies, steadfast, go into the evade, into the rapids. And by the way, when you evade into that first shot of the rapid, so if your evade shot connects, it causes a stagger on the opponent. And if you immediately activate rapid shot, that first shot of rapid shot is guaranteed to hit every time. Unless you were like, to me, you might see that turkey in the distance, me to that turkey away. If you hit an evade shot there and you shoot rapid shot here, you're not going to hit him. But in close combat, which is where you want to be, and if it's a dex player, you know, you dive your ass up there, you come in, boom, boom, boom. If you notice, I'm building empowerment stacks. Easy peasy, steadfast. Oh my god, more empowerment stacks. And if you notice, the empowerment's still on my bow. That's interesting. That's crazy. That is a secret little thing hidden on the Serenity Greatsword. The empowerment stacks from the Greatsword that you build actually transfer over to your bow. So what I like to do is I like to build them stacks, get them up while you're fighting. You know, you're going around the battlefield, you're hitting multiple opponents, and due to that, you're getting lots of stacks really quickly. And then I go to the bow, and I'll hit them with like an X-bow or something, and then I'll go back and start with the Serenity again. So you just kind of keep this going, massive nukes, steadfast, get your cooldowns back. It's so much damage, you know, keep the movement going with the bow. You know, get that stand back. You saw I just stand myself out, and then I'm full stamina instantly again, just from one steadfast. So you can stand yourself out sometimes with this build. Again, you have to be careful standing yourself out because it can be a death sentence still. But if you know you're guaranteed to hit them, you can stand yourself out and just steadfast it. I usually do it if they're exhausted getting away. I will stand myself out to close the distance, and then I'll just steadfast to gain my stamina back and lock them in place for the rest of my squad to gain up, and then we just slaughter them. But it's pretty much, the rotation's pretty easy. You just see me kind of going through my abilities. Obviously, there's more to it when you're fighting multiple targets. You want to get your movement going. But yeah, thanks guys for checking out this video. I do have some more videos I can make with guides and such. With the finisher rapier and the bow is actually one of my favorite builds to run right now. And it is probably the best build you can currently run on bow. I run the bleed build on it specifically, which I think is fantastic the way I have it built. So if you want me to do a video on that, let me know. If you want me to do a video on the Life Taker Void Gauntlet and the bow, let me know. As well as if you want me to do a video on the Life Taker Void Gauntlet and a Greatsword as well, let me know. And I'll kind of showcase that a little bit for you guys. But anyways, guys, this has been Tyler Xlet, and I hope this video has been beneficial for you in showing you what I run, and hopefully you guys can jump in and have some fun running it too. But as always, keep it classy.